we? How we living? It's Tuesday, and this is the Supervisor Sync Community. So glad you're here, whether you're on live or whether you're streaming it from your dashboard. My name's John, if we haven't met. Very glad you're here. Honored you're here. Glad to be on this journey with you as we build out real muscle around our career. So today we're going to be talking about sync, supervision, and clearance. We're going to be talking about how music works and some very specific frameworks that get us right in how we think about and how we act on and how we execute sync, supervision, and clearance. So, as you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I see people jumping on now. We've got new members from Saudi Arabia, Australia, all the way to in Atlanta, the far reaches of Atlanta, 3 hours down the road from Nashville. So welcome aboard to our new members. So let me share our screen today. Can everybody hear me okay? Just give me a thumbs up in the chat. That's great. Okay, awesome. So let's talk about kind of the origin of the Supervisor Sync community. We do a 5-day training called the Sync School, and we started it 2 years ago. And it's a deep dive, like 3-hour training every day. And it was fantastic. We had a great time. We still do it every quarter. So you can jump into that if you've missed that or you've jumped ahead and joined the Supervisor Sync community. But during those 5 days, we worked on projects. We talk about getting hired. We talk about real world meat and potatoes, music replacement, negotiations, managing projects, just real world meat and potato stuff. And after those 5 days, we wanted to continue on into as a group and as a community. So let me turn off the sharing here. So we wanted to continue on together, just kind of talking about the projects we're doing at the Sync Center, collaborating with projects other members are doing, maybe collaborating on projects together, people jumping into projects together. Not a spammy, pitch your music type of group, but a real kind of best practices, real world professional level group, whether you're doing sync, music supervision, or music clearance. This was kind of the group we always wished existed. So that became the Supervisor Sync community. We meet every month, the first Tuesday of each month, and we do a training session, we do a workshop, and we open the floor for collaboration. Whether somebody's leading a project or wants to jump in and serve on a project, you can do that kind of stuff. So it's awesome. We have a great time. And it's been really fantastic to see graduates of the Sync School and graduates of the Supervisor Sync community go on to get hired full-time other places. At the last cohort of the Sync School, 70% of our graduates were hired full-time, which was kind of surprising. We didn't go into it with that kind of expectation. But that's just kind of the self-selecting quality caliber of the people. These are not spammers. They're not lazy people. These are people that love to do the work, love to work in sync supervision and clearance. So that's a little bit about kind of how the Supervisor Sync community came to be. So today we're going to be talking about how music works. Hold on 1 second. There is not the Chrome. There it is. Okay. So how music works. This is a real foundation layer in that we have to get really bulletproof. There's a ton of mythology, a ton of bad thinking out there on the interweb. And that's not That's it's a confusing place for most people. So we really try to distill it down to what's true, actionable, and gets projects done. So as we're thinking about how music works, this is something we want to put in our pipe. This is the idea that talent is what you do with a gift. It's not just having passion for something. It's what you do with it. It's how you grow it. It's how you expand it. And this is what we do every day in our training community at Hacking Music. It's what we do with the gift. Lots of people have the gift. Hacking Music is about what we do with it, how we grow it, and how we expand it. So, real quick, how music works. We're going to be talking about how music gets valuable. There's a ton of confusion around the value of music. So we want to kind of bring that down to planet reality. We want to talk about what is a sync for some of our new members here. We want to talk about a rule that we use all the time. It's called the 200% principle. So we're going to be stepping through that. We're also going to be talking about writer splits, and that's where we're going today. So how the Supervisor Sync community works. This is kind of our why and kind of what we do at a high level. So if we think about a person, could be a 20-year-old person or a 50-year-old person, doesn't matter. People are like trees. And some people have good roots and some people have weak, thin roots, like this tree here. And a storm comes through or heavy rain comes through and the tree gets blown over, right? We see that a lot out here as we moved out to a farm outside of Nashville a couple years ago. I know trees. And this tree example resonates with me because I've had to chainsaw 100 or so trees. So let's look at this balance wheel here. Most supervisors, especially newbies, they look like this. They have a passion for music, and all of us should have a passion for music, right? And so they look like this: high passion. They're not really good at landing projects. They're not really clear on music replacement. Not confident in legal. Maybe don't have any experience or maybe one or two projects they've worked on, not really clear on negotiations, and they probably don't have access to rights holders. So that's the way most supervisors are, right? And that's really not a great place to be because you have a lot of gaps in your moat, right? You love music, but you don't have anything else to support it and strengthen it. So what we do here in the community is we really build a moat around our thinking and our acting to where, yes, we have passion about music, but we're also really clear on how to land and onboard new projects. We're really clear about the music replacement piece of it. We're really clear on the legal piece. We're bulletproof on the experience of how we deal with clients, how we do our day-to-day stuff, how we do our negotiations, access to rights holders. We can get to everybody in the world. And yes, we're still passionate about music. So this is kind of what we do every month in the Supervisor Sync community. We go from this to this. And what most people see is they see the passion, right? That's what gets us into music in the first place, right? And that's good. That's the fun stuff, right? When we're babies, yes, that's the good stuff. But sooner or later, we have to go from milk to solid food. What people don't see is the bottom of the iceberg here. They don't see the relationship building. They don't see the negotiations. They don't see the budgets because budgets aren't sexy, right? Nobody wants to, get together and look at their budgets. They don't want to necessarily see music replacement or onboarding or invoicing or comms or project management or legal and messaging and marketing. What people see is the music passion. So what we're doing is we're building out the bottom of the iceberg here. So let's talk about passion and competence here. So most of us, especially early on, we have a lot of passion, right? We like to talk about stuff, right? When we were just starting, we would think about it, and then we would start to talk about it, maybe in high school or something. Then we would start to do it, right? And then after years of doing it, we began to master it. So that's where we want to go each month as we work inside this Supervisor Sync community. We want to go from just thinking about something to having the confidence and the competence to talk about it, to actually doing it, working on real projects together, to eventually mastery. Okay? So this is the N that's very common. We talk about this a lot in hacking music. This shows up a lot as we talk about pattern matching. So members of the Supervisor Sync community are up here, right? They're passionate about what they love music, but they're also competent in it, right? Whereas a lot of babies are not. They're just passionate about it and they don't have the competence. So we want to be up here, up and to the right. All right, so let's talk about our goal here, not only for this session, but for all of hacking music, the training that goes on inside hacking music. There's a lot of smart people in the world, right? It's easy to get smart. Knowledge is becoming a commodity. You can get on YouTube, you can get it from books. You know, smart is easy, okay? Then what we see is people kind of getting strategic about doing stuff. Like they have a plan about it, right? And they're doing some early projects. Next is to move into execution, to actually doing the stuff that you're smart about. We don't just want to be smart. We don't just want to be strategic about things. We want to get stuff done, do things in the real world with real people and real projects. And this is where hacking music lives. This is where all the training comes. You know, yes, we want to be smart about stuff. Yes, we want to be strategic about stuff. But at the end of the day, hacking music is a book. When we wrote it originally 5 years ago, it's a book that you do, right? You don't just get smart. If you want to get smart, you can, read a lot of other books. This is about doing things in the real world. We say it all the time that action wins. So these are kind of the three checks, right? Knowledge, sure. Strategy, yeah. But at the end of the day, we want to hold ourselves accountable for the great things that we've been called to in executing them. All right, so let's talk about revenue income streams here as we talk about how music works. So there's performance income, there's mechanical income, and there's streaming, and there's sync income. Performance income comes from bars and radio. Mechanicals come from physical copies. Streaming comes from, you guessed it, streamers. Non-terrestrial streaming, like Pandora, Spotify, etc. Sync is visual media, TV, advertising, branded content. Performance income is collected by the performance rights organizations, ASCAP, BMI, and CSAC. Mechanicals are collected by the Harry Fox agency. Streamings collected by the MLC, and sync is collected by the publisher. So it's really important to get clear, like, hey, we're not talking about performance, mechanicals, and streaming. We're just talking about the sync revenue stream here, the sync lane, if you will. And this is important because there's more and more music being licensed in more and more places. More and more channels are popping up every day, and guess what? They need music for their content. Each use is different. You can't really create a boilerplate license for a sync use, real sync use. I mean, you can do it on kind of the micro sync wedding video type stuff, library music at the bottom. But we're talking about known music that people have known for 10, 15, 20, 50 years. And there's no Department of Justice consent decree like there is in the performance lane. So each use is completely negotiated on its own. It's a totally different price depending on the terms in the license. There's different kinds of uses, which we'll be going over here in upcoming sessions, and each is negotiated on its own terms. So I can't go back to Garth Brooks or Taylor Swift or Shania Twain or Michael Jackson and say, hey, I licensed that song a year ago. Can we do it again? It's each new use is negotiated on its own new terms. So sync is a big deal. It's increasingly important for filmmakers, ad agencies. People want the good stuff. They don't just want EDM music that nobody cares about and all kind of sounds the same. They want the song that means something to their audience. So sync is a big deal. So let's talk about checkers or chess here. So who are the players? What are the rules, the roles, lay of the land, how to win, and where we find ourselves in data. So first, data. Let's just look at Apple TV spending more than $6 billion on new shows. That was about a year ago. Netflix spent $13 billion on original content last year. Total of about 700 original series. That was 2018. Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, collectively spending about $20 billion this year on content. In 2020, there were over 500 online TV shows compared with 381 produced the year before. So content matters, and because content matters, music matters because music travels with content. Global video game revenue hit $43 billion. Movie box office, $28 billion. Okay. All right. So let's look at how music gets valuable. This is an important bubble that we need to pop because there's a lot of mythology and aspirational thinking around music and why songs mean dollars, why songs are valuable to filmmakers and why songs are valuable to the rights holders. So let's talk about how we think reward works. We think reward works in the quality of the thing. If I write a song this afternoon and it is an amazing song, we think that reward should follow that. And the reality of it is if you write a terrible song or you write the best song ever, it doesn't matter yet. And I say yet because it's awesome. You've written a great song, but don't pop the champagne cork yet. Okay. This is how we think reward works. Quality of thing done, and how it really works, how it actually works every day in the real world as we're working on projects, advertisers, filmmakers, branded content. The real reward happens for a very specific reason, and it's because the number of people have been impacted by that song. If I wrote the song Ain't No Mountain High Enough by Marvin Gaye, the amount of people impacted by that song is massive. The song that I'm going to write this afternoon, the people haven't been impacted yet. Maybe there's nobody impacted by that song yet. So we don't want to get wrapped around the axle by believing the wrong thing. The number of people impacted drives the impact of the song and the value of the song. Okay. When we say impact, it has to be known. It's kind of tethered to people's history and their experience. Maybe when they were young or when they got married or somebody died. It's part of their culture, right? It's part of their memory. There's a time and a place that this song impacted them. It's part of our culture, right? So when you hit these benchmarks, and this is why we mainly work in licensing known music. We don't really work in library music or wedding video down market content. The stuff that matters And this is like, the bees go after the honey. The filmmakers go after the honey because it's the honey, right? It impacts people. It's known, it's tethered to their experience. There's memories there, there's a time and a place, and there's a culture around it. So we want to think about music like that, bees and honey. The good music that gets licensed most of the time, at least 80% of the time, is the songs like that have this footprint, this cultural impact around them. So let's take a look at what is a sync. For those of us new to the Supervisor Sync community, this is important to get into us. When music is attached to moving pictures, a sync license is needed. And each of these are negotiated independently. And that's a legal agreement that includes all the details for a specific song use and grants the legal right to use that song in their project. So let's look at 3 roles for every sync. And that's the music, the middle, and the money. Okay, we're going to pull up to 50,000 feet as we understand this piece of the sync licensing process. So the role here is the music. They're the artists, they're the composers, labels, publishers, right? They own the stuff. The role for the middle are the music supervisors or the clearance agents that do the middle piece of this, the middle part of the hinge. And the money, those are the filmmakers. Those are the people that are writing the checks to us to pay for the music. Okay? So we want to get clear on the music, the middle, and the money, the roles here. Artists own the music. Supervisors are experts in the middle part of it, keeping everybody legal. And the money is the filmmakers who are paying for the project. Does that make sense? Before we move on, anybody have any questions? Okay. All right, so let's talk about one of the rules that we use all the time. So that's the 200% principle. Let's talk about what is a song. You can think of a song like a dime or nickel quarter here. And there's 2 sides to that coin, right? There's the song and there's the master recording. The song is the underlying copyright of the song, and the master is who recorded it, what it sounds like. Often you'll see them tagged as Circle C or Circle P. Circle P is the phonograph. Circle C is the copyright, the invisible part of it. Usually the label is 100%. Okay? And on the writer side or the copyright side, it varies. There could be 1 writer, there could be 8 writers. But what we want to get really clear on is that all this should add up to 200%. Not 185%, not 220%. It should always add up to 200%. So let's go down a level here and talk about writer splits here. Generally in Nashville, traditionally, if there's 2 writers, it's a 50-50 split. It's just kind of a common writer split, a courtesy amongst writers. With 2 of us in the room, we write the song, it's a 50-50 split. If there's 3 of us in the room, 33 1/3. So you may see the math pattern here. There's 4 of us, it's a 25% split. This varies in hip-hop and urban music, and that's where hip-hop music doesn't get licensed a lot because it's a cluster to license. So that's what I wanted to talk about today in the Supervisor Sync community. Just really getting clarity on how music works. We're going to be building on today's training each month going forward in the Supervisor Sync community. And if you have any questions, clarifications, feel free. I'll be inside the community actually later on today, and this training will be posted in there later on today as well. So That's the Supervisor Sync Community for this month. And we will see you guys inside the community. Let me see if I can pop this off here. We will see everybody inside the community working on their projects, sharing their projects, and giving feedback on their projects. So can't wait to see you inside the community. We'll see you in there later today and early tomorrow. See you guys.